What's up, guys? Matt DeBary, dogpost.com, here again with another recruiting edition. It's a Wednesday morning. Hope everyone's having a great day, and thanks for watching. So, big show today. Going to start off talking a little bit about some recruiting. Obviously, that's why y'all are watching the video. So, some weekend visitor updates for this weekend's game against Texas A&M. Should be another big visitor list. Not going to be like Notre Dame or anything like that, but I am expecting a lot of big-time targets in town, including big official visitors like Zykeivous Walker, who will be making his decision in the next week or so. So big official visit there. So we're going to talk about some visitor news. We're going to talk some college football playoff rankings and just a lot of other good stuff. So thank you for watching. I guess we'll jump right in. You know, Georgia is hosting Texas A&M this weekend after the big win against Auburn. People are just directly looking at LSU. I know a lot of fans are looking forward to that SEC championship game, and as well as they should, but Georgia still has these national championship hopes out there, but they've got to beat Texas A&M first. They're not ranked. I thought they might be ranked coming into this ball game, but again, they're a good team, and they might have the best quarterback that Georgia's seen all year in Kellen Mond. Kyle Trask was good. Ian Book was good. But so is Kellen Mond, so we'll see how that goes there. So this isn't a game that Georgia can, it's just going to breeze right through. The Aggies are going to come in ready to play. They're going to have a lot of fans making the trip over here. Why wouldn't you? A chance to come to Athens, Georgia. Those people at College Station are going to jump all over that. So, I'm expecting a big game. Georgia should win the game. They're the better team. They are at home. I know the weather conditions might be really sloppy. I know there's a forecast for lots of rain, so could be another bad weather game. And, if you're Georgia, you have to like that a little bit. You're not trying to throw the ball all around anyway. They haven't done that all year. They're a ground and pound team. They are what they are. They're not changing that. They want to run the ball all over you, play great defense. It's what they've done all year, and that's what they're going to do against Texas A&M. So I do think Georgia's going to win the game. I think it might be a little closer than some people think. I think the Aggies have a good football team. So we'll see how that goes, but Georgia cannot sleepwalk through this game. That's all I know. As far as visitors, like I said earlier, Zykeivous Walker, 4-star defensive lineman out of Schley County, will be on his official visit to Georgia, and this is a big deal. He's been a major target for Georgia for a while. He's had an offer, but it wasn't until earlier this summer when he worked out for the Georgia staff where he really became an important priority target in this class. I was told he blew the staff away with his workout. I believe this was in June, and ever since then, Georgia's pushed. And I've always said on Dawg Post, I've been reporting this for months, if Georgia pushes for Zykeivous Walker, they are the team to beat, and I still feel that way today. Florida's in the mix. I think Florida's been the team recruiting him the hardest for the longest time. They're in the mix. Auburn, I think, is in the mix. He just took his official visit to Alabama not too long ago. So I really do think it's those four teams, Georgia, Auburn, Florida, and Alabama. Not sure which order it is, but if it came down to two, I think it would be Georgia and Florida. But I do think that a decision is coming around Thanksgiving. That's what I was told. I don't know any specific date, but I was told before December gets here and around Thanksgiving break is when I was told that Walker would make a decision. And, it's going to be coming right off an official visit to Georgia. So you really have to like Georgia's chances there with the big 4-star and one of the top uncommitted guys, not only in Georgia, but in the entire country. So Georgia needs at least one, maybe two more defensive linemen in this class. Walker's a big target, and it looks like they're in a really good position to land him in the next week or so. Another official visitor in town is going to be 4-star wide receiver Justin Robinson. Tall, got a lot of length on him out of Eagles Landing Christian. Just looking at him without pads on, you say, wow, this is one of the best looking wide receiver prospects out there. And he is. He's a legitimate 6'4", a little over 200 pounds, not the fastest guy, but definitely a possession receiver who you can play on the outside. He'll be on his official visit to Georgia, 100% committed. Nothing else going on there, but he will be in town as well. He's in town most of the time for all these home games, but this will be his official visit. Carson Beck, 4-star quarterback out of Jacksonville, told me he will also be in town, and that's huge. I really do think that. I know Georgia wants to try to bring in a second quarterback in this class. C.J. Stroud, 4-star quarterback or maybe someone else, but it's always good to have your quarterback who's committed on campus talking to other recruits and being in everyone's ear about Georgia. So, yeah, I know he is going to want to come in and play as early as possible, just knowing Carson and his work ethic and his drive and just his overall talent. He's not coming in to sit on the bench very long. So, he does plan to enroll early, all that good stuff, but it's always good to get him on campus and make sure he is 100% locked in. The last thing Georgia needs is for a guy like Carson Beck to, just look at other schools, while he still has a month or so left to do it. But I don't think he's going anywhere. He does have other options. When I went to go see him last month, James Franklin was there asking about him, seeing if he's 100% committed to Georgia. He's getting a lot of calls from other programs. So, the other schools are keeping up with him and making sure that he is 100% committed to Georgia. If not, they're going to try to swoop in and flip him. But right now, I do think that he is solid to Georgia. And if you're a Georgia fan, that's good news. I think the kid is the real deal and a guy who can maybe push for playing time next year if Jake Fromm does, in fact, leave for the NFL. So big news there. Also, lots of 2021 targets. Micah Morris, 4-star offensive lineman from Camden County that Georgia's offered, will be in. 5-star offensive tackle Marius Mims from Bleckley County is going to be in. Those are two guys who I think if Georgia pushes for, and I think they are pushing for them, that Georgia will be able to land them in the end. Terrence Ferguson, 4-star offensive lineman out of Peach County, will be in town. Jaquez Smith, 4-star wide receiver out of Hapeville, will be in town. Lavasi Carroll, a top running back target for Georgia in 2021 out of IMG. He will be in town with his teammate Warren Brinson, a 2020 commitment out of IMG. He doesn't take a lot of visits. IMG plays a lot on Saturday, so Warren Brinson, who committed Georgia over Florida, I think back in March, will be back on campus this weekend. David Daniel, defensive back commitment out of Woodstock High School, 4-star guy, one of the top 100 players in the country for that 2021 class. He will be back in town this weekend. Barrett Carter, 4-star linebacker that I really like, kind of over here in, not over here. He's one county over, North Gwinnett High School. Might try to go see him play on Friday, but he's a linebacker that I really like in that 2021 class, and I think Georgia's in a really, really good spot for him. They might stay a little more local in 2021 than they did in this current 2020 class, which would be great for me. I can see more of these kids without trying to fly across the country. But they've got David Daniel from Woodstock committed. Jaden Slocum is a guy they've offered out of Alpharetta. Barrett Carter, linebacker out of North Gwinnett. So luckily for me, they're kind of staying a little more local in Metro Atlanta a little bit so far in 2021, which helps me out a lot. But we've got a big running list of visitors for Texas A&M. That's not everyone that's going to be in town, but a solid list there. If you want to check out more names, make sure you go on to dawgpost.com. We've got some of the best team coverage and recruiting coverage on the internet over there, so make sure you go over there and check that out. That kind of wraps up the visitor list for this weekend. Really good list in my opinion. So Georgia should be able to take care of business in front of some big-time targets. Right, so let's talk a little bit about the college football playoff rankings. LSU number 1, I think they deserve that from the teams they've beaten. Ohio State number 2. I'm assuming the Buckeyes will go undefeated, but they've got Penn State this week. And I do think Justin Fields might, as good as he is, I do think that he might struggle a little bit against solid defenses. So we'll see how Justin Fields does against Penn State. And don't look at, Michigan has turned into a pretty good team. They've been a completely different team since that second half when they did lose to Penn State. They do lose a lot of big games, but they've looked like a different team since that Penn State second half. And they're rolling. They've got a great defense. So, again, I think that game is going to be pretty close. I think Michigan's defense could really upset Justin Fields in a way that no other team has so far. So the Buckeyes still have some teams left. If they lose to Penn State, I don't know if they'd be out of the college football playoff. They might be able to sneak in, but they wouldn't represent their side of the conference, whatever it is in the Big Ten. It'd be Penn State. Penn State would have that tiebreaker there. They both have one conference loss, so it'd be Penn State going up against either Minnesota or Wisconsin. So if Ohio State does not represent, in the Big Ten championship, Do they get in? They would have to lose to Penn State to do it. If they beat Penn State, they're in because a loss to Michigan wouldn't matter at that point. If Ohio State's only loss is to Michigan, I still think they would slide in the playoff. They lose to Penn State and don't play in the Big Ten championship. That would really shake things up. I don't know what would happen there. I still don't see Penn State sliding into the mix, but Ohio State still has Penn State, Michigan, and maybe Minnesota or Wisconsin. Minnesota and Wisconsin play next weekend for the right to play either Ohio State or Penn State in that Big Ten championship. So, I know I said on last week's show, I think Ohio State would roll, go undefeated. They look like the most complete team in the country, offense and defense. LSU's defense is a little shaky for me. I think that matches up really well with Georgia in the SEC championship. But Ohio State still has a few tough games left to play. Right now, they're at number 2. Clemson coming in at number 3, easiest schedule in college football history. They're just skating through. Again, it's such an easy schedule, but they are dominating teams. Their only team they didn't dominate and run out of the building was North Carolina, and I think that's why they are number 3. If they take care of business and win by 20-plus points over North Carolina, you might see them in that number 1 or number 2 slot right now. So Clemson's number 3. Georgia's number 4. Georgia takes care of business against A&M. We know they're going to demolish Georgia Tech, and then if they beat LSU, which they can do with this defense, Georgia's going to be able to score on LSU. I firmly believe that. So if Georgia takes care of business against A&M, beats LSU, Georgia's obviously in the playoff picture. And I still think LSU would be too. If LSU's only losses to Georgia, LSU's in. So if you're Alabama at number 5, you need Georgia to lose to LSU or to Texas A&M and be done there. So again, if Georgia beats LSU, I think both those teams are in. And if Ohio State takes care of business, obviously Clemson will. I think they play the Blind Academy or something next week. Then I don't think Alabama's going to be able to slide in. If LSU does beat Georgia, then you've got, do you put in Alabama or do you put in maybe Oregon or Utah? That's the decision there. That's going to have to be made. So a lot still going on. I do think Ohio State is probably the most complete team, but they've got some tough games left. Obviously, LSU, I think, is going to be in no matter what, even if they lose to Georgia. And then, obviously, Georgia has to win out to be in and ruin Alabama's chances there. So, still lots to go over, lots to happen. Penn State sitting there at number 8. I don't think they're going to be able to climb the ladder there. But, anyway, it should be another fun few weeks of college football. As for recruiting, I want to go back to that and break down that just a little bit. They've got their quarterback, Carson Beck, might get another one there. Sources are saying that Georgia might only take just one running back. I've said for a while I think they need 2. I still think they should probably sign 2, but from what I'm hearing, it wouldn't surprise me if they just sign Kendall Milton and be done there. Obviously, they need another tight end. Darnell Washington is the big fish there, big target, I guess, and a 5-star guy. I think Georgia is still sitting really, really well for him at this time and still probably lead. I haven't really confirmed that from sources this week or last week, but Georgia's right there. If they're not at the top, they're probably sitting number 2. Theo Johnson, 4-star tight end. I don't think that Georgia is going to land him. I think it's good that he delayed his decision to give Georgia a final shot to get back in it with them. But if Theo Johnson goes elsewhere and they just get Darnell Washington to sign, I think you might just see Georgia sign 1 tight end. At wide receiver, Arian Smith, 4-star guy out of Lakeland, reminds me a lot of Malcolm Mitchell, maybe even a little faster. But he's got that twitchiness to him, really good wide receiver prospect. I think Georgia would love to add him and make room for him to bring in 4 wide receivers in this class. Offensive line, I think, is set. You've got 5 guys there. Defensive back, Keely Ringo, obviously the top target, 5-star cornerback. Look out for Dante Manning, a guy who just took his official visit to Oregon. Georgia's in the mix there. He's going to take an official visit to Georgia, I believe, at some point. I don't think it's this weekend. I have not confirmed that it's this weekend. So it could be in December. So he's another guy to look at. Noah Sewell, 5-star linebacker out of Orem, Utah. Do think he's still leaning towards Oregon there. And if he does sign with Oregon, I think there's a chance you might just see Georgia sign 1 linebacker in this class, being Mikael Sherman. They signed a ton in 2019, so it would be okay if Georgia just signed 1 elite linebacker in this class and then go out in 2021 and get a few more they like there. Defensive line, room for one, maybe two more. Zykeivous Walker making his commitment, like I said earlier, in another week or two. And then if they land him, they're still going to go all out after Jordan Burch, the 5-star out of Columbia, South Carolina. Who knows with that? He does not talk to the media. I think it's a Clemson-Georgia battle. I don't think he's going to pick South Carolina anymore. I did for a while. I'd be very shocked if that happened. So, again, if I missed any of your questions or you just want to talk about something else, hit me up on Twitter. But make sure you go to Dawg Post. We're pumping out tons of coverage. Now's the time to sign up. $2 for 2 months. So you get coverage through the SEC Championship into signing day. December is huge. That's when all the recruiting really starts to get going. And Georgia starts ramping up for either a college football playoff opportunity or Orange Bowl, whatever they end up going to if they don't beat LSU. So great time to sign up for Dawg Post. $2 for 2 months of coverage. You're not going to find a better deal anywhere else out there on the internet as it relates to Georgia football and recruiting. Again, thanks for watching. If you have any questions, go into Dawg Post, let me know, or hit me up on Twitter, and I will see you guys next week.